as well as One America News Network. And her website is thekdreport.com. Dum-da-dum. Kimberly Dvorak, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I am fair to partly cloudy today, so
Okay.
I just want to...
That actually, I think,
hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, but I'm actually broadcasting from the rainforest, so just so the listeners and
From the
viewers know.
rainforest?
Yeah.
Did you,
Which
you
is in
said
a
from the
living room
rainforest, right?
down at the river. That's all you need to know.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I thought you were over there where they have the real rain.
Not this trip, no.
That's those raindrops are loud. Yes, sir. Okay.
They are.
Are you being punished for something? You know, once you tell me something, you can't trust me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you being punished for something? Are you behind bars?
Me, I am not behind bars, no. I'm sitting in a living room with a rainforest all around me.
So it's not a bar and it's not Little Metal
No,
Bar
not a
either.
jail.
So there you go.
But there's only a few days left of the year,
Or
so I may get arrested yet. So there is that.
There you go. You know what? Speaking of very few days left, today we're going to kind of concentrate on, because California, you know, Kimberly and I both, we're very familiar with California. I broadcast from there, and she's a correspondent for CW6 News San Diego, but she goes everywhere. But you know what? Today on Fox, I wish I would have found the story and I would have given you the exact thing, but they talked about all the states that are losing people, right? And
Yeah.
the District of Columbia, which is not a state, was number one. And then California, of course, is on there. And I think just about every one of them out of the top 6 or 7 they had, all run by dictators, Democratic dictator governors.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Absolutely.
But I thought California was number one, you know.
Well, in the district, you know, near Capitol Hill, and that area has just become completely out of control with crime, and crime happening in broad daylight. Murders, homicides are up, rapes up. All of the, you know, these issues that people, since COVID has kind of been ongoing, they've decided that, hey, I can work from home, I don't have to go anywhere, and so they're moving out of the region because they don't, no longer do they want to be a part of a society where they have to worry if they're going to make it down to the market and back without getting shot at. That's just what we're seeing across the country. You're seeing that, you know, the Democrats who, you know, wanted to defund the police and see what a great experiment that would be. The blue states are really seeing what kind of experiment it is. And in California in particular, they have so many people that have left the state that they're losing representation in Washington, D.C. because they don't have enough people, more people leaving than coming in. And I don't know if they're counting the illegal aliens that are coming into the state. They're opening, they're, you know, wide open. Come on into California, we'll take care of you. But as we've noticed, this last 6 months has been really brutal on the American people. They've had to withstand rising gas costs. They've had to see inflation double or triple on just going to the grocery store. So when you see, you know, states that are not doing well, like California, a leading indicator to me is Elon Musk. He is the wealthiest guy, and he's going to be set to pay about $1 billion this year in taxes to the state of California. It will be his last tax dollars he spends. He's moving to Texas. So that tells you how messed up the state of California is. And some of these other laws that we're going to talk about here are just unbelievable.
Yeah, these are the wacky new laws going into effect in California in just a matter of days. You know, it's as if it wasn't wacky enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My goodness. Where are the Beach Boys when we need them? Seems like time for...
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, I think. Something like that.
Yeah. They moved to Hawaii, and even people are moving out of Hawaii. And it's hard to move out of Hawaii because, you know...
Yeah, pretty expensive.
Well, never mind. Yes. We're going to be right back with more from Kimberly Dvorak, and we're going to be discussing some of these wacky new laws that are coming up just around the corner in the new year. By the way, her website is thekdreport.com, and a little bit later on you can rehash this whole thing because you'll have it posted again at thekdreport.com. Be back. Chuck Wilder, CRN with Kimberly Dvorak, Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy, discussing wacky new laws. You know, I think it's pretty well established, Kimberly, that if you live in California and you step outside your house, and if you're close to a freeway, there's a certain breeze that's going on, and we definitely know it's not the trucks that are going because the ships aren't unloading. That's another story. But anyway, I think it's all those U-Hauls leaving the state. They just whip up a little duster there for you.
Yeah. Well,
unbelievable.
Yeah, there was actually a really interesting study that Cato Institute, which is a think tank here in DC, put out, and I thought California is actually the least viable, but apparently there's another 2 states that can outdo us as far as economic freedom, and that means how many days you work per year to cover all your taxes, and then what you've got left in your paycheck to pay your mortgage, grocery store, those kind of things. We're 48th out of 50. That's California. It's not a big stretch to see why middle-class Americans are leaving the state in droves, which they are. And on top of that, we've always known that the public school systems in California have been, they went from being the best in the country way back when to being like the absolute pretty much worst. I mean, runners up to New York City, basically. And you're looking at close to 50% of California children in the public school system cannot read or do math at the grade level they are. They are falling that far behind. Throw COVID in on top of all of that, and now you're seeing parents not knowing what to do with their kids, especially with the, whipped cream on the top of all this is the fact that the, kids are not learning. They are going to be deficient. There's a lot of people that have started, studying the effects of this COVID situation. And then, of course, we've got the left trying to put this whole CRT training and, this equity. Apparently, there's something wrong with classrooms teaching math because it creates racial inequity. And that's actually something that is in this Cato report, that this is what the school districts are putting out there. And basically telling your kids, you don't need to learn how to do math or anything like that. You got a smartphone, you don't need to know how to do math. But, schooling and education, so much of it isn't, basic algebra. You're not using that every day. But it's part of the thought process. It's part of the, reasoning that as young minds develop, they gain certain abilities. So that's going to help them further in life. And right now, this country is at a standstill, and the only kids that are moving forward and doing well are primarily in the parochial schools and or private schools. Oh, and a lot of people have turned to, educating their kids at home as well, which is another good option.
Yeah, and it is amazing that at one time California was in the top 5 in the United States, top 5, and now I think they're at the bottom 3 from being sunk.
Yeah.
And they're
Mississippi's last, so we do have that. Just putting that out there.
Just stupid stuff like you mentioned, math.
Yeah.
It's discrimination whenever you make them figure out the math problem. And for some reason they said white kids were figuring it out faster than black kids.
Yeah.
You know what? Look at some football players, okay? They sure figure out how to run a pattern, like if you're a receiver or a running back.
Yeah.
It's stupidity, and people swallow it up. And the people that put it out, I don't know what it is. Maybe they're the bosses, and somebody's afraid to, challenge them or something like that.
Well,
but
what it is it's demeaning for these parents are having to pick up the pieces of their kids' lives here and go, oh my gosh, they don't even know how to add 1 + 1 anymore because everything is kind of just a rounded up or a rounded down. And I know that we've joked about this all the time, but you go to Starbucks and if they say it's $1.76, you're paying $1.76. You're not going, hey, I've only got $1.50. Can you take $1.50? No, that's not how it works. Math is finite. There's no wrong or right. There's no right answer that's wrong. So when you look at people and children, again, they're getting this pushback from what I see. Is I'm glad my kids aren't in public school whatsoever anymore, and my youngest is in college. But how horrifying must it be as a parent to see what is being sent home? And COVID actually did a lot of opening of the eyes here in all of this. And to see that here we are 18 months, 2 years into COVID, and now you still see the Chicago schools that are going to go back to remote learning, even though, it's the relative number of kids that get infected with COVID and have any risk of death is such a tiny, tiny fraction that, I like I said, I just think that if you have a young family and you're watching this unfold, you can't even go to the grocery store without spending more each week. You've got kids that are running around the house. They're telling you that the next variant of COVID's around. We're going to have boosters forever. I think what you've seen this December is, I think you've seen people just say, it's enough. It's enough. And they went to the malls to go groceries and go to the grocery store. They went out. They went to football games. They, let their kids, have sleepovers and those kind of things that, that have completely gone by the wayside in this country, all in the name of COVID, which now is basically just the flu. And we're going to have to rearrange our lives once again because people are getting infected with a much more, not violently ill in the hospital. And on top of that, people aren't dying in the hospital with this. So it's really, really resounding to see, lawmakers, the kind of power that they have over kids, and to see that they clearly are not in the arena of educating our children because they just don't want to do it anymore. They want to phone it in.
We have that expression, moving the goalpost, and none did it better than Newsom in California.
Oh yeah.
Yep, we're going to open up. You can go to school. No, you can't go to school. Now you're going to back for it. No, you can't have a football game. Little bit of power. Meanwhile, his kids are in public school.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this other one here. If you think you're going to the kids are going to have to be at home more, and Mama is usually at home, she'll be taking care of them. Not with the brand new law in California. There'll be less mamas at home. This is really neat.
Yeah.
At the end of 2021, if you are a publicly held company headquartered in California, you must have between 1 and 3 female board members.
Yeah.
Now, that's board members, not board,
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do?
Okay. BORED.
Or you get fined $100,000. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is just another one of those, like, you scratch your head and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't understand why they're doing this. I mean, what if they can't find somebody who's qualified for this? Again, this is just, goes to the number that California is out of touch with complete reality here. And they will continue to lose, middle-class families will continue to flee in order to get their kids educated and to actually live a life where they can have some sort of, vacation plans and they can travel and go somewhere. Because in California, you can't really do anything. And you've got the restaurants as well. Today you can go, and tomorrow, masks only. And, all of these different rules. And people are slowly figuring out that, what, this isn't in our best interest. But I think one of the prized, and I want to put this up there in the top of the list because I think it's just hysterical, is the bacon and egg industry in California. So you better stock up because on January 1st, unless the pig was raised in 24 square feet of area, as well as the chickens, you cannot use their bacon, you cannot sell the bacon, you cannot sell the eggs in California. So I look to seeing Denny's is going to have a lot of issues if they can't have eggs and bacon, because that's a law that came into effect. And then close second is all of the lawn mowers and blowers and all of that stuff has to be electric battery. It cannot be run. You can't plug it into the walls. The electricity needs to come from an actual battery, which now they're saying the cost of taking care of managing, big apartment complexes or golf courses or any kind of large manufacturing plant that has landscaping on the outside. It's going to triple the cost. And you'll get fined, or you'll get fined if you're out operating your gas, lawnmower. So, I mean, when you see the state of California do things like this, it is a bridge too far. And this is why you're seeing the people leave. And we joke about it. I mean, I think it's hilarious, but clearly, the people who are in the business of raising pigs and chickens, kind of a vital thing in this country. We need protein, but they're in the business of being like the food police at this point, and they're putting other people out of business, and they're sending all of this stuff down to like Mexico. So who benefits from this?
And you were cutting out a little bit. I think last week we were cutting out, and this week you're cutting out. Let me go over one thing again. Okay, number one, the pigs. Okay, that's gonna, like she said, watch out for the pigs and the chickens, because they got to have 24 square feet of usable space. And I thought about this, right? And like pigs, I'll just take pigs because there's a lot of people, that have pigs as pets.
Yeah.
Okay, believe it or not, little baby pigs, and they grow up. And nobody likes cruelty to animals. But then again, you say, well, if you got to give them 24 square feet, that's really good. And they get to run around in that 24 square feet, and then you chop their head off or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Wonderful rule.
Yeah.
I know, yes. And then, if you're working, if you're working as these people, the rented people that come and mow your yards and use the blowers and all this stuff, as she said, here's what it amounts to, that if it's a 3-person landscaping crew, all right, 3 people, what they're going to have to do in California under this new law is they're going to have to carry 30 to 40 fully charged batteries to power its equipment during a full day's work.
Hey, and the bonus of that is, how did they charge those batteries? They plug them into the wall to charge. So I mean, there's no solar batteries when it comes to the whole landscaping situation. So you're saying that they will carry around, they will lug around these extra batteries, but at the end of the day, in the overnight hours, those things will be plugged into a wall using fossil fuels. So to me, it's probably more harmful to the environment. But don't quote me, I'm not a scientist. But it seems to me that if you're going to make the batteries, which we know is a labor intensive and it takes decades to be carbon neutral, to add that to the component here rather than just using the gas, lawnmower, blower, I don't even know what else they chop down the trees with, the hedge trimmers, all those kind of things. It's ridiculous what they're trying to do. I mean, again, I'm sitting back here on the East Coast just watching my state fall apart.
Yeah. Then there's the other thing, and I just did an interview, pardon me, last week on this with Selwyn Duke for the New American, and it's about the gender-neutral toy sections.
Oh, yeah.
All right? And they did a lot of survey on this, right, Kimberly, and you find out that even though it's going into effect because somebody who was all for it wrote it, and another person said, yes, sir, and I'm high enough to put it and make it a new law, but it's not very popular among the general public, okay?
I know.
And this is where the new law in California that
Gender neutral, yeah.
Toy store, you go general neutral toy sections. You gotta
Is that like crayons? I don't even know what gender neutral. I mean, I would assume it's like paint, crayons, maybe some artwork.
Like what?
No G.I. Joe, apparently.
No, it's like Ken and Barbie.
Yeah.
All right, you have those 2, and then you got to have another one, or maybe 2 or 3 on the shelf. That's what it is.
Yeah. Oh my God, a bit.
Or you got to have a.
But the sad thing is that when again, we're laughing at this, and nobody, thinks that we ought to go out and bully different people for any stretch. That's, as we grow up and we teach our kids, you don't bully other people. We don't do that. But, the cost that the burden that this puts onto businesses is the reason why you're seeing Rite Aids close down in California, is the reason why you're seeing CVS having to shut down pharmacies in California because of the ludicrous laws that basically still under $1,000 and you don't even have to go to jail for it. So I mean, these are things those are very real consequences for what's plaguing the state of California. I know that I'm stunned that the recall effort did not take hold, but rest assured, you're going to see California. I think in the 22 elections, they're gonna make some changes here, and if they don't, then I don't want to say you get everything you deserve or you get everything you vote for there, because the people that are coming up with these asinine laws are Democrats. You don't see the Republicans sponsoring. Yeah, we need to have transgender toy section at Target. You just don't see that. You don't see them coming out and going, oh yeah, you know what, that math stuff, it's a little racial, and we don't, we think that, if we let our other students fall behind, then they're going to feel bad about themselves. So let's just get rid of math altogether. Those aren't ideas coming from the Republican Party or the Independent Party. Those are ideas, and those things are actually happening under Democrat rule. So if you don't like what's happening in Chicago, I've got a great idea for the people who live in Chicago. Don't vote Democrat again, and see how your city flourishes, rather than the complete disaster it is, leading the country in homicides and things of that nature. That's not something people want to live in. That's not something people want to be a part of. And this is something that the Democrat Party is reaping the rewards, they think, but they're going to lose everything in 2022 just because people are not going to put up with it.
Okay, got to take Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy, and we've got to talk about responsible American. Yeah. California's jobless rate, you say, 7.3%, ties with Nevada for last place. You got Texas and Florida apparently doing something right.
Yeah, they're doing something right. So I'd like just to take a couple minutes here to, at the very last few moments. We've been picking on California an awful lot, so I thought we'd pick on Chicago, Illinois, because they actually have a lot of issues going on there. But rest assured, come January 1st, if you don't feel well, you can take 5 mental health days where you can just take off and relax, maybe go get a massage, and it's paid for by the taxpayers. And then Juneteenth is a paid holiday now in Chicago. The chances of you being murdered are substantially higher in that state, but at least you'll get Juneteenth paid for, and the rest of the state will kind of if the police decide they're going to work, they will work, but they're losing deputies and officers. It's unbelievable how many they're down. I believe they're down like 25%, and a lot more are actually looking to start a new career outside the police force, because the defend the police movement is so toxic in Illinois, where you're seeing good people who want to help and provide a public service that's going to make their communities a safer place to be, are actually packing it up and moving along. Who's going to do these jobs moving forward? I just think that, like I kind of stated earlier with the American middle class families, they're seeing this unfold every single day on their TV screen. And they see that there's going to have to be a huge change, or the states like, Illinois or California, New York, they're going to cease to be like safe environments, because people are fleeing those states. And sure, California's got great weather, but if you can't afford to buy a house or go to the grocery store or pay for your gas to get yourself to work and back, you can't sustain that for very long. These states are on the brink. No matter what the politicians say, these states are all on the brink. And they're creating these insane laws, like you can't buy bacon or eggs unless you've got 24 square feet of play space for these animals. Since when did animals' health become more important than actually saving human beings' lives? Because we can't live without protein. And to me, the families are on the front lines every single day saying this, and they are going to take their feet and they're going to vote. And if they can't get their way in California, then they will march over to, Texas or Colorado or wherever it is that their final destination may be. Because California has become so inhospitable that I've always said too that with the Silicon Valley, once they wised up and they started leaving the region, then California would basically be just a service oriented economy, and you cannot sustain all of those social benefits by someone who works at Starbucks. You just can't do it.
Yeah. And, the New Deal out here, where they don't want to build any new single-family homes.
Yeah.
Got to do those stackums.
Oh, yeah.
That was Agenda 2020. They'll all live in stackums, and we'll no more of that freedom.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Well, Kimberly, we've run out of time here. Why don't we not do a show until next year?
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, works for me.
Yeah.
I still get paid, right?
Okay, and don't forget the website, listener, thekdreport.com. Kimberly Dvorak, thank you very much.
All right, Happy New Year to everybody.
And as I said last time, have a very happy New Year and a wilder New Year. That. We'll be back.